Lane, where do you keep the bourbon? Yeah, I know I've been talking about doing this review for about a month now, but again, February was kind of crazy for me, so here we are talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. And if you hadn't seen my live reaction watch along with Cody, see, if I were Joey right here, as the camera's panning up, I'd have a huge erection. The link is up there, you can check it out, but let's talk about it. First off, I'm going to say Nightmare on Elm Street 3, for me, is my favorite of the entire Freddy catalog, and there's a lot of reasons for that. First off, it's at his apex, if I'm going to be honest. Lost my train of thought. Rewind. Freddy was at the apex of his popularity when it came to Nightmare on Elm Street 3. He had rock videos on MTV. There were toys. There were numbers you can call them. Chat with Freddy. There was all this insane BS, and he was just more accepted as a mainstream character versus Jason or Michael Myers. And with Nightmare on Elm Street 3, they did bring back Wes Craven as a co-writer for the film, and it felt like an appropriate bookend to the Freddy story, because again, part 2 has nothing to do with the mythology. It's its own monster as of right now. And part 1, again, it's a great movie up until the end, where producers and everybody wanted to kind of make this a franchise and made an ending that made no sense whatsoever. But again, 3 felt like an appropriate ending for Freddy. So you have the characters coming back to finish the trilogy, but you also are introducing a bunch of other characters, and get this, every single one of them, we truly understand where they're coming from, what their arcs are, what they're going through, and what's haunting them and why they're in this mental hospital. All the kids are tormented by Freddy, but again, they all come with their own unique stories that doesn't feel like a copy and paste type of story. It's very unique, and you can see that care was taken in the story writing. You know, one's a recovering drug addict, one attempted suicide with Kristen, played by Patricia Arquette. Then you had Joey, who was a pervert, but we were all perverts back then, but he had that tattoo of the teardrop, which meant back in the 80s he killed somebody. So again,
what does a teardrop tattoo mean in prison? If you have a teardrop tattoo, it means you took somebody's life.
There you go. So all of them had a troubled past, but all of them had a common enemy, which is Freddy Krueger, which the film also introduced a unique concept. Hey, what if one of these characters can pull the other so that you can have a team of young teenagers fighting back against Freddy? Which, if you ask me, is a very original and my favorite concept in the entire filmography of Freddy Krueger. And not only that, let's give him superpowers. And now I'd like to introduce a new concept to my channel called Seeing It as an Adult. Now, what that means is, again, when I was a kid, I enjoyed it for what it was. But you see a film as an adult, you're like, wait a minute. What are they trying to say there? So I'm going to talk about that right now. She's got her hand around his waist, man. She's shooting her shot. That's a little too... And they're having dinner. Look at that. Man, he's... Candles and everything. This motherfucker, dude.
Let's pop Hypnosil and fuck.
And one of the things I appreciate seeing it as an adult is these kills are brutal. And they're personal and they're just wrong. I mean, goddamn, Freddy's an asshole. For example, Christian's parents, their divorce is separated, right? So that's a heavy, traumatic episode for a child to go through. So she's longing for that parental relationship. And her mother is going out having a good time. So she's by herself. So she wants her mother or parents in her life. And the mother, sorry for laughing, but what does Freddy do? He cuts off the mother's head and shoves it in her face.
I said, where's the fucking bourbon? You listen to your mother.
God damn it, Kristen, you ruin everything. Every time I bring a man home, you spoil it. You know what your shrink says? You're just trying to get...
You have one who wants to be an actress. That's her dream. That's what brings her joy in life. That's all she wants to do. So what does Freddy do? He picks her up, tells her, welcome to primetime, bitch, and shoves her head in the TV.
Sit, Jennifer. You're big breaking TV. Welcome to primetime, bitch.
And then there's Taryn, who's a recovering drug addict. She's trying to fight this addiction and move on with her life and create a better future. There's even that one scene where that one guard says, I got the keys to heaven, baby. She's like, leave me alone. So what does Freddy do in the dream? He says, let's get high. That is horrible. Knowing somebody's addicted to a substance and introducing that in the dream and then having all their needle marks turn into these mouths, that's horrible.
Man, that's just mean.
That is so horrible. So in my opinion, that's one of the worst kills and just messing with somebody's mind in the entire filmography. There's others that are more gruesome, but that is just wrong. So being a fan of psychological horror, this is my favorite Nightmare because, again, kills are very personal and tied to the characters and their background. Not just like being pulled into a bed and turning into blood soup, which still doesn't make sense to this day, or being pulled into a waterbed. I mean, how do you explain that? So it's Freddy at his most sinister. Bravo. Now, that being the most sinister kill, in my opinion, my favorite kill is Phillips, who is a puppet master or a puppeteer, and then what Freddy does. And the effects alone, again, I love how practical effects age beautifully, unlike CGI. It just looks like a painful death. Having your veins and muscle tendons ripped out of your arms and legs, and you're being controlled by Freddy. That just looks painful, and it looks wonderful. So again, that's probably the most original kill. That being said, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is a wonderful film, and it is my favorite of the filmography. It's got wonderful writing, it's got wonderful cast, wonderfully acted, directed. The special effects, including that Freddy worm scene in the beginning, hold up to this day. I mean, the stop motion pieces we can do without, but everything holds up. It felt like a great closure to a horror trilogy, but we all know that didn't happen. Well, those are my thoughts on Dream Warriors. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Put some comments down below, like the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I really would appreciate that. I want to get to 10,000 before summertime, so if you can help me get there, I'm going to give you the Fight Club head nod. Well, thanks for watching Gen X Reviews, everybody. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day and take care.